Ned, welcome. How are you? And what about those votes?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
Doing great.
You got all them votes counted?
Yeah, they're all counted, and we're so sure of it, we're going to count them again.
I hear that Broward County's already resolved their problem for the 2020 election. They've started the recount already.
Oh, a recount before the election, huh? I like that.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Save time.
Absolutely. Yep. I definitely believe that to be so.
My favorite is Orange County out in California, though. The Republican governor candidate won Orange County by 200,000 votes.
Yeah.
But not one Republican got elected.
Yeah. Does that sound like fraud to you? Or what about Arizona where, hey, if you don't get the result you like, you just keep counting until you do.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Could it be any more simple than that?
Oh, I grew up in Illinois. I was used to that. That's the way they always did.
You got it.
But actually, they were more efficient. They just went ahead and stuffed the ballot boxes ahead of time. That saved a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, I think they're becoming more efficient now. They're just going to do that and not waste any time, right?
That's right.
Oh, my God. Hard to believe, huh?
Oh, well. If it wasn't bad, it'd be something else.
Yeah, no doubt. So what do we got to talk about today, Ned?
Well, it's clear that turkeys can't fly, no matter how high you throw them up in the air. On gold, there's when a group is emerging or an industry is emerging, you have a sequence of events. You need to put in a low. Gold put in a low in August. Then you need relative strength to rise. In other words, the industry has to do better than the market. And it's been doing that. The market value of the U.S. stock market peaked on September 21st. Mm-hmm. And we've given up over $3 trillion. Yeah. Well, in that same period, gold is up.
Right.
So that's it. So those two conditions are a prelude to absolute performance. Mm-hmm. And I don't think investors realize how miserable they've done in U.S. stocks. There are going to be a lot of people mad in January when they get those statements. Mm-hmm. Because even if you were in the NASDAQ index with the hot stocks, you would, after fees, you would have done better in a money market account this year. And Goldman says, well, you got to have cash for 2019. To hell with 2019. 2018 is when you bagged this Goldman Sachs. Yeah. And then over in Ag, we got the big meeting on 30th of November, end of the month. She and Trump are to meet. And I got to admit, Kerry, the quality of journalism in this country just continues to sink to a low every day.
Yeah, it's not journalism.
It's just horrible. They don't even report any facts anymore. You got to go to the Chinese press. And the Chinese have a fundamental problem. It's called winter.
Yeah.
They import during the colder months at least 10 billion cubic feet of LNG from the United States. Mm-hmm. When they put that tariff in, they don't get that gas anymore. They can't afford it. So they've got to resolve the gas problem, which means they've got to resolve some other issues, like soybeans and that. Yeah. So we got that. We've got a big problem in China with African swine flu, which is, there were last week in the Chinese press, there were 2 articles on African swine flu, 2 different newspapers. That doesn't happen in China unless they're softening the public up for a problem.
Yeah.
And the problem with ASF is that the virus can travel so easily on trucks, on clothing, on feed. The first defense is to shut down all transportation, which means you can't get hogs from the farmer to the pork plant. And so they're developing a pork shortage.
Yeah.
But the soybean market in China is telling us that some kind of resolution on the 30th will come out of their discussions. Mm-hmm. Because about a week or two before the rumor was out that they were going to talk, Chinese soybean prices headed down. Yeah. And last week they hit a 52-week low. So the Chinese soybean market is telling us that in all likelihood, Xi and Trump are going to come to some meeting of the minds. I don't know what that is. It would just be a guess.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Mm-hmm. Well, something's going to happen. Something's got to give here, right? This current situation.
That's right. The current situation is not what you call an optimal solution.
Yeah. And they're going to have to give, aren't they? But they're going to have to try to make it look like they didn't give, even though they did give.
Yes. And there's a growing, in the Chinese press, there's a growing opinions that you're seeing. And in the Chinese press, it's not like the United States. You don't see opinions unless there's some backing for that opinion.
Right.
And one of them was that they played their aces too fast, that they should have talked more before they started tariffs on LNG and tariffs on agricultural products.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's their big hammers.
And they
should have.
Yeah. And one of their former leaders said was openly critical of Xi, saying shouldn't have done that. That was a bad idea, and that has to mean something. I'm thinking that maybe Xi is going to be in trouble after all is said and done. That he's been dramatically weakened by Trump's actions here.
Yeah, they totally misread Trump. I don't know who's it. It must be somebody, a Democratic strategist, that's advised him on Trump.
Oh, they were reading the Democratic, talking points that he's. Yeah,
he just doesn't.
Right.
He just doesn't back down.
No, and the Democrats underestimate him at their own peril, don't they?
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. So that means that soybeans are gonna do better here, huh?
Yeah, it's one of those things that you and I can't say it's absolute, but it sure looks like we're getting set up for a better world on soybeans.
Correct.
And that would change the whole psychology on agricultural equities. One of the problems we've got with the destruction of the technology sector is what are investors going to buy next? What are going to be the groups? I mean, you can go around thinking technology is going to come back, but I don't think I've ever seen a market where a group that's been crushed suddenly rose again and was the dominant theme. I mean,
yes.
It just doesn't normally happen.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Can't argue with you there, right?
Right.
So what's going to be next here? I mean, this is getting exciting here, Ned. We're going back to the basics here. What's happening?
It may be that whatever happens next is not exciting. If you look at what the Federal Reserve's doing and ignore everything else, it actually says the market is going to be really dull for several years. I'm kind of in the camp where if the Federal Reserve is going to pull out this year $400 billion out of the banking system, that's not conducive to a wild stock market.
Right.
In any group.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just going to be boring. I think that means that people are going to have to go back to actually learning something about the companies instead of actually just getting a list, buy Apple and buy Amazon. It's not going to be one of those kind of markets.
Fun to actually have to know what you're talking about. I mean, the nerve of them. Why would you ever want to do that?
If you look at this nonsense of companies beating analyst estimates, it's clear that the analysts don't know crap.
Yeah.
Really don't. They don't understand these companies.
You think?
And I think it goes back to how bad our education system is, Terry. Yeah. They don't teach fundamental analysis of financial statements in college anymore.
Yeah, I thought that was something pretty basic here, right?
Well, when you got correlation coefficients, all you do is run it through the computer, and then you've got the answer. You don't have to know anything about what you're doing.
Yeah, let the bots handle it, right?
That's right.
The bots will take care of everything. You just have to push the buy button. Actually, the bots will push the buy button or the sell button, too. And everyone knows Amazon only goes up, right?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Amazon, of course, I'm starting to get old, I look at Amazon, and I feel like Harold Janine has been reincarnated.
Yeah.
They're going to buy.
You better tell us who he is, because most of you out there weren't alive, but he was the guy from ITT, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
International Telegraph and Telegram, which became a huge conglomerate. They owned Sheridan. They owned like everything imaginable. And he had gotten nailed for bribing Nixon or making illegal campaign contributions to the Nixon campaign. That's the one.
Oh, right? I think he made them to everybody.
Yeah, well, Nixon was the one he got nailed for, right?
Right, but Amazon's going to go bid for these 22 regional sports networks. How does that fit in what that company does? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't understand the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, no, probably not, but that makes two of us there, my friend. Two of us don't get it. And whatever happened, like Peter Lynch, if you don't understand the company, don't buy it. That seems to make no difference whatsoever, does it? Doesn't apply anymore.
You don't have to know anything about an investor anymore. You just correlation coefficients and let the computer correlate it.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. You got it. So what about gold? Is gold finally going to shine here, or are we just going to keep? It's
going to shine relative to everything. I think that we have one problem. It's not going to soar right away because people have an ignorance. They have an education gap. Right now, people are frozen because for 10 years, all they've known is tech.
Yeah.
And Bitcoins. Mm-hmm. And they don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
They don't. Literally, there's a massive education gap in investors because they haven't had to think for the last 10 years. Yeah. Now you've got to think. Mm-hmm. And people are going to have to educate themselves on alternatives. Now, on our side is computers don't think. They look at things like relative strength and momentum. And as the relative strength persists and some momentum develops, these computers will start buying. And I think that's where the strength comes. But I'm not looking for it to soar, but I am looking for it to go up. I think next year I would be happy to see 1,400 next year. Mm-hmm. But I think we might see 1,400 on the Dow, at the same time.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we could be getting to that point, and the deficit out of control. Do you think Trump is going to attempt to do anything about the deficit?
No, there is nobody that cares anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, Rand Paul on odd numbered days and even numbered months, he talks about it, but he doesn't talk about anything 2 days in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, no, nobody cares. Mm-hmm. And the cash deficit is $1.2 trillion. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's as out of control as you can get. Mm-hmm. And the Democrats control the House where all money bills start. There's not going to be a restraint there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe we'll worry about it next year.
Yeah.
But not immediate.
At some point, it's going to have to be addressed, right? Because it's going to sink the country, destroy us all.
At some point, it will force us to address it.
Yeah.
Until that happens, I don't think anybody will do anything. There's no support for doing anything about it.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm with.
If we bring all the troops oats home from the Middle East, that would be a good start.
Yeah, and all the other 800 bases where they're being kept now, right?
Right, or whatever. I know it's a big number.
800. It's 800. So, hey, I'm gonna have to cut it short. It's holiday. We got to get to Thanksgiving. You and I. Just quickly, tell us about the ag.
Ag. The big thing is that the grains haven't placed a bottom, and oats are the 52-week high.
Yeah.
Most people don't look at oats, but it's a legacy grain that trades in the futures market.
Right.
And it tends to point in the direction where they're going. And they're pointing up. So we look to November 30th when President Xi and President Trump are going to talk, and in the news articles coming out of China, most of it is on liquefied natural gas, which they desperately need for this winter.
Yeah.
And were comments about doing something about ag, because with African swine flu in China, it is having an impact on their pork availability. And pork in China, I don't even know if we don't have a comparable food in the United States. I guess if you couldn't get avocados in California, that would be the equivalent. So we're watching that. Those things. And as we go forward, we need to, I think, look at companies that have something besides just looking for a price increase. ADM, Archer Daniels, is still my first choice there. The second one to start watching the chart for, I don't know where you buy it now, is BG, Bunge. Several activists have been put on the board, and they're going to be on a committee that is looking at strategic alternatives. Well, we never know what that is or when they come about. So maybe as this stock gets to about 50, it might be of interest. The other one to watch is JBSAY. That's JBS, which is a Brazilian company, and the primary market for the stock is in Brazil. JBSAY is their ADR in the United States. This is the largest beef exporter in the world. It gets 75% of its revenues in the United States. It controls Pilgrim's Pride and Swift. And in their latest earnings report, which they had a loss that was a fraction of what the analysts thought. But in that report and in their comments, the company said they are now going to pursue a U.S. listing for the stock because of the 75% of the revenues are in the United States. I don't know when and if that will happen. I think it will happen, but I just had no time. I can't tell our listeners, Terry, that it'll happen anytime tomorrow. But it would be a stock that portfolio managers in the United States would have to own. You could not ignore the largest beef company in the world if it's a U.S. traded stock. So those are the ones I like. I would stay away from Deere, and I like AGCO. Deere's problem is the same problem Ford has, only with Deere it's a little more severe. Deere basically produces large chunks of steel and paints them green. That's their basic business. Now, the problem is the tariffs on imported metals is driving up their costs. So that's hurting all those businesses that process metal into some product. So I think that some of these companies are going to do quite well. Let's see, what are we missing? Gold stocks?
Yeah.
It's important to note that the gold stocks, GDX, hit its low on the 11th of September. And now while it's sold off recently a little bit, it's put its low in for the year. It doesn't look like there's going to be any more tax loss selling in that. So in January, it should do well. Now, GDXJ, a little more different situation. It hit its low about a week or two ago. That should have been the end of year-end selling in that index. So I think we're going to see both of those indexes do well, especially when we get into January. Right. And gold continues with some legs.
All right. Well, hey, that sounds really promising here, Ned. I mean, hey, we've been watching this for years now. It keeps looking like, almost, maybe this is going to be it. Now's the time. And then we keep getting disappointed. So you're thinking that we're finally going to see something happen here, huh?
Hell, I think January is going to usher in a whole new year for gold, especially since we put to rest this technology bubble.
Yeah.
I mean, that was last year. And I think, Terry, people need to, when they're looking at charts, anything before the 1st of June is ancient history. I mean, if you're looking at 5-year charts and trend lines, I think you're just wasting your time. Mm-hmm. Use a newspaper and have the dog fiddle on it and do some technical analysis of that.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're saying here. It's pretty funny. Well, hey, one never knows what the future is going to yield, though, do you?
No, I'm sorry. These are all guesses. We guarantee that.
Yeah.
That's the only guarantee we give them, right?
Yeah, you got it. It's like the future is always uncertain, right?
That's true.